So, earlier on in the year, in January, on the 8th of January 2025, I did a video where I wanted to take a brief look at what I expected from two upcoming games this year. The first being Football Manager 25 after it was already delayed. The second being Subnautica 2 that has subsequently been further delayed and is now within a lawsuit with its own developers because they sacked the lead development team and blah 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 blah. Anyway, we're not getting into that. Subnautica 2 is going to be delayed for a while. It's in a bit of limbo whilst they figure out what they're doing with the game. Anyway, what we do want to talk about is FM26. FM25 was just scrapped completely, and FM26 has since been announced. This video is going to be an amalgamation of one, me talking through the new the features, the new UI, women's football, things like that. That's going to be a brief description because it's not something we're going to be able to talk about until we really see it. The second thing I want to speak about is saves that you guys could do. Now, I understand that a lot of you guys that watch this play Football Manager. I've been asked on multiple occasions to do a Football Manager series. I had done one in the past. It's not something that I am likely to do again in the future, unfortunately. It just doesn't really do as well as I thought it would. It makes a Football Manager for me is a game that I like to take my time and just sit and play and enjoy. Not something that I really enjoy recording. That being said, because you guys enjoy it, I do want to give you some saves that you could do. Now, the game releases on the 4th of November. It is and will have early access relatively about 2 weeks beforehand. 2 to 3 weeks beforehand usually is the sort of date, although that hasn't been confirmed yet. And they tend to just announce it that day and let people jump on it. That will happen at some point. Let us take a look. Oh, I can't do it. Right, okay. Let's go into Googly and go. Here we go. Let's jump onto the PC. Bosh. Let's make me a bit smaller and make me up here. And then go. So, no. Why is it? What? There we go. Oh no, I don't like how it's white. Oh well, it's going to have to be like that, isn't it? In that case, I might as well go. So, what is new? The new foundations completely refresh the managerial experience, unfolding imagination, and setting the stage for you to define your footballing destiny. That, by and large, is correct. They are not redoing everything as far as we are aware and what we know. The actual game behind the scenes and behind the UI is relatively the same. So the same game mechanics, I'm going to assume because of that, maybe the tactical side of things is the same. What is different is they are correct. It is refreshing it. There is a brand new screen. Is this clickable? It is. Oh my word. So the UI, there's a completely reimagined user interface. Oh no, I don't want the video. No. Here we see your club badge. It's the same stuff that you expect to see. You have an inbox here. They, instead of having like a home screen which has loads of random bits on it, there is the portal with the overview, messages, calendar, fixture schedules, things like that, which is really cool. You've got your fixtures up here, your league positions and things like that. If you can see on the right here, it even gives you the little, Europa League, Champions League spots, etc. You have your squad screen, squad screen and recruitment and things like that, they have reimagined the different tiles and cards, so it's not tactics all down one side. It's all on the top now. You still have a search function, and this specifically here is quite cool. It's non-customizable in terms of you can't set your own bookmarks bar, but there is a little bookmarks bar, which is cool because it means you can just get to your favourite, like most used things, which is pretty cool. Going forward, I'd like to be able to customise that ourselves. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are mods that come out and or sort of like workshop updates where you can just import your own, maybe. Tile and cards. So this is obviously a little bit different, but by and large, all of the same information is there. It's just a complete refresh of how it looks. You've got all your numbers, everything stays the same. You've got your positions. I believe there are a few more positions that have been added in, and or other positions that have just been rejigged and sort of removed and just played about with a little bit. But again, when we come to it, we will go a little bit more in depth with that. You have overview, personal performance, career comparison. Same thing as always. I like that the left foot and right foot now, it doesn't just say, right foot strong, weak foot strong, whatever. There is actually like a left foot, right foot. So he's very strong on his right foot and is reasonable on his left foot, so that's fine. Which means if he's playing on the left-hand side and he's right-footed, you're more likely to play him as an inside winger or an inside forward. Just because it means he'll cut inside a little bit. The portal's new. Things like the calendar look a little bit better and a little bit more refreshed. Navigating your way to victory. Again, that's just the bookmarks bar, training and things like that. Probably isn't something that I'm going to be looking at most. I don't really do much of the training. Change your bookmarks, change the game. So here you can see, look. Oh, maybe you can. So you can set up your own bookmarks bar. You can have up to 6, but they have to be from what they've selected. So first team tactics, player database, transfer, competition messages. You can also have the club site, stages, data hub, fixture schedule, news site, shortlist, squad planner, staff search, training and youth setup. So for me, I would probably have messages, first team tactics, transfer, and maybe my fixture schedule. I'd probably get rid of competitions. Or competitions might be a good one because you can see everything's happening. I don't know. We'll have to try it. And so we're going to move on. We'll move on to, you can't learn more about the new levels of immersion just yet. But we're going to move on to the women's football. This is massive for me. This is massive because I really enjoy women's football. I'm a big advocate for it. There should be no reason why this isn't in the game now. We've seen it in FIFA. We know that Football Manager were working on it. For FIFA, I believe it would have been, or EA FC, shall I say. It is a lot easier to implement because there's not a heavy sort of league database behind FIFA. They can just slowly add things in year on year. Whereas Football Manager made it abundantly clear they wanted to make the database as in-depth as they could, with the prospect of it getting bigger and better over time as well. But by and large, Football Manager is a more in-detail game than EAFC is. Therefore, it has taken a little bit longer, but they need to make sure they did it right. And from the looks of it, they have done. There are, let's just zoom in on this. I should have done this in the first place. 14 playable leagues. The Women's Super League and the Women's Super League 2. So both the English leagues, the National Women's Soccer League in the USA, the Google Pigs and Frauen Bundesliga in Germany, the WE League in Japan, the Serie A Femminile Italy, basically the 2 Swedish leagues, which is good, Denmark, Australia, Wales, and the UEFA Women's Champions League in Europe. That has surprised me that the Spanish league isn't in there, or the French league. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, there's only 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe they are. because it says 14 leagues across the 11 nations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's only 10 nations there. That's not even a nation, it's Europe. Including the following. I'm hoping we've got Germany, Italy, England. I'm hoping that French and Spanish is there. There's a reason for it, and I'll get onto it. And all the women are going to be there. There's going to be obviously regen women. We're going to have women's football. They have said they've accounted for the unique landscape of women's football. So, just for your guys' benefit, they've done it exactly like EAFC, in which the stats are comparable to the gender/sex. The women's football, if you've got 19 finishing, that is comparable with the other women, whereas the men's is comparable to the men's. You are also able to load a database with both men and women's football at the same time. Ergo, you can transfer from being a female manager or a women's team manager to a men's team manager, which is great. But they have accounted for the unique landscape. Therefore, a 28-year-old, really, really solid centre mid will be selling for £1 million, not £60 million. They've adjusted the budgets and the wages accordingly, which is really, really cool. The fact that the transfer market is dominated by free transfers and end-of-contract compensation fees is fantastic. They've also adjusted the club revenues and annual wage expenditures. Brilliant. We've used real-world data to accurately reflect the prevalence of and recovery rates for certain injuries where there are differences between the men's game the women's game certainly compared to the men's. I think that's really good. There's going to be new things. I wonder, and similarly so, do you know how every so often you'll have like a 9 to 12 month injury or maybe a 2-year injury for something? I wonder if every so often we'll just get a women's player has got pregnant and she's off for 9 months or up to a year. So she's got like a maternity period. That would be brilliant. We don't know. Changes to the new generation and match day. Again, you can see it here. We have the new graphics. Now that is something that I want to touch on. This is the reason that the game has been delayed and we're seeing FC26, not 25. By and large, the match engine is the same. The match design is the same. The game engine is now using, is it Unity? Whatever they said it was using. We now have a 3D model of game. It runs a lot smoother by the looks of it, and they're heading into the right direction and the right generation of game, which is cool. I don't really want to touch on it because it's the reason we've been delayed. But we've got a whole new match engine. But from what I can tell and from what I've heard, the actual, the actual sort of like gameplay mechanics are relatively the same, and it's just that the graphics have greatly improved, which is something that we've been asking for years. Anyway, that brings us on to what I want to help you guys with, and that is looking at different saves. Let's go back onto the webcam because I've got nothing built for this. I'm just going to put some things up. I have some notes on my phone that I made earlier. Like I said, the game release on November the 4th, there is going to be a couple of week early access where we get to try a few things, and then some people wait until the full game release to do their main save. So I want to break this down into a first short save-ish that could then progress if needs be, and then a second long save if you are just wanting to try some things out at the start, and then come November or December time, you might have some time off work, you can really just dig into doing a long save. These are some sort of first save ideas. I've put short in brackets. Some of these are not short. They're not like a couple of hours long, because I think if you're playing Football Manager and you're used to playing Football Manager, you are used to sitting down for, I want to say, a good 20, maybe 50 hours. I think a short save would be about 50 hours long. A good couple of seasons, I say it takes at least 10 to 12 to do a season. Maybe 3 or 4 seasons down the line, is a save, so that's maybe 40 to 50 hours of gameplay would be a short system, or a short season, or a short save. It's definitely doable in the couple of weeks leading up to November the 4th and further on, depending on how much you want to play. That's, say you do it 2 hours a day for 14 days, that's 28 hours there. So at the start you've played at least 30 odd hours if you're doing it 2 hours a day. Obviously some people might not, they might do a couple of hours here and there, or an hour here and there, and then a couple of hours. Either way, that's what I've banded the short save into. So the first one is the Glory Hunter 1 League. So a Glory Hunter save is typically a save where you try and win as much as you can. You don't really care who you start with. You tend to start with the likes of, your Liverpool, City, Madrid's, PSG's. And your aim is to spend money, get the best team, but win as many trophies as you can. Now, this is a brilliant first save for the early access because, one, if you give yourself plenty of money to work with, you can see what sort of players are like. You can really be versatile in the market. You can see what sort of wonder kids are out there. You've got a lot of money to scout players and things like that. On top of that, you can set yourself a time period. You can say, look, Glory Hunter 3 seasons. I want to win at least the domestic league cup and the country's cup. So England have like the Carabao League Cup and we have the FA Cup. So both cups, if you've got 2 cups, and then potentially the Champions League, and how many of those I can win. Stick with one country, a nice short save. You might just do one season, what can I win? It's going to be a good one for you to do. It really does shove you straight in at the deep end of just, let's play around with all the new stuff. Some people just pick their own team and go on from there, which is fine. But if you want a nice short save, pick a big team, play what you want. Another relatively short save, this one's a little bit longer, is called the Forgotten Gem. So you pick a team that in recent years has lacked, shall we say. We have really been under the cosh. Now for a short save, you might choose the likes of Man United. That could be a good one. Juventus, them over the past maybe 5 years have really declined. If I'm being totally honest, they're not the team they once were when they had the likes of your Bonucci's and Chiellini's and Marquisios and these types of players. You had Ronaldo and Ibra there at one point. Now you're stuck with Vlahovic, and your whole aim is to sort of turn it around, win the league, maybe win the Champions League. Couple of seasons long, jobs are good and you've had a good play, and now time for your big save sort of thing. The third one for a short save. Now, I'm not calling this a short save. I'm thinking this is going to be at least 5 seasons long, which isn't a short save by any stretch. But this is the one that I'm going to do, especially straight from early access through. I'm going to play past the November 4th release and then going to go into something a little bit longer, which I've already sort of decided what I want to do. I call it the mum and dad save, and that is the first time ever that we can do this because it incorporates the men and women's game under one save. So you can choose when you load into the game, only do the men's database, only do the women's database, or add them both together. You will be choosing the middle. You'd be adding them both together. Your objective is to take the same men and women's team to glory. This would be my first save, I'm choosing Forest. You can quite easily choose, if you want it to be a bit shorter, choose Chelsea or Arsenal. They have both a good stature in the men and women's game, so it will be easier for you. And the aim is to win the league and the Champions League with both the men and women's team. So you take over Chelsea, women's, you win the league in your first season because they're tipped to win it. You win the Champions League because they're tipped to win it. And you go forward. You then transfer to the men's team if the job becomes available. Hopefully it becomes available, that's the whole bloody point. At some point the job will become available. And then you take over that job in the men's and you do the same. you win the Premier League, and you win the Champions League. Okay? I will be doing this with Forest, so a little bit of a longer save. They're starting in the Women's Super League 2, I believe. Let me just double check. I should have actually checked that. Double SL2 table. Nottingham Forest, they're actually 9th out of 12. It's not the best start for them. I will be taking Nottingham Forest women up to the WSL. I will then be trying to win the WSL. I will then be transferring to Nottingham Forest men's, wherever they may be after a couple of seasons, and taking them up to the Premier League if they're not already still there, into Europe again. I mean, this is their first year in Europe, so that's really cool. And then forward, and just really seeing what I can do. That will be my first save. It's a little bit longer. I'd say it was a short to mid-range save, if anything. But that is something that I think is actually a really cool idea to do. I think this would be the first time you can win with the same team in different competitions. I think it's quite cool. Anyway, it adds another sort of layer to it. Moving on to our long saves, okay? So some of these are saves that people have done all their life. You know, it's nothing new. Come sort of the start of the year, sort of November 4th, start of the year. Come November 4th, this is what they'll be doing. They'll have been biding their time, and this is what they want to do for the year, if they want to. The first one is the Glory Hunter, which again, if you choose this as your first save and you do the Glory Hunter save and you just try and win all you can in your team within like a couple of seasons, there's no reason you can then, if you're enjoying it, turn this into the long save. Is the Glory Hunter 5 leagues is you try and win everything you can in your respective league for that respective team. So say you choose Man City or Liverpool, you win the league, Carabao Cup, FA Cup and Champions League. You then move. I mean, the Glory Hunter actually, the whole aim is you do it and try and win like Europa League and Conference League as well. But for this, you can win as many as you want. I'd always just go for the top trophies, in my opinion. So the top 4. You then move to France and do the same. You go to Italy and do the same. You go to Spain and do the same. Then you go to Germany and do the same. You have to win all of the major trophies for them teams. And then that becomes your bigger save. Short save, do it with 1. Long save, do it with lots. If you want to make it harder, choose teams that wouldn't probably win it. Say, take maybe a Lyon or a Lille or a Monaco, not the PSGs. Go with a Brighton or a Bournemouth or a Newcastle, not a Man City and Liverpool. Them types of things. The next one is something that's relatively new, and it's something that I'm going to dabble in this year. I have a team in mind, and it might seem ridiculous for this team that I want to choose for, but it's called the Moneyball. The aim is to be a mid-table team. Mid-table to good. You can even try and win the league with it. There's no reason why you can't win the league with it. There's nothing stopping you. It's just, I personally think that it works better if you're not trying to win. The whole point of my Forest one that I'm doing is that I want to win the trophies and chase the actual glory. Moneyball is all about finances. You are using a director of football model. You are allowing the assistant manager to manage the tactics and games and squad. Okay? They choose the matchday squad. They run the tactics. You leave it be. You watch the matches as the director of football. Your aim is to generate funds. So you are there to scout players, bring them in for as cheap as possible, and sell them on for a profit. That is your objective. Spend low, sell high. And your objective is to hit £1 billion in finances. Hit £1 billion in your finances, in your bank. Moneyball. Spread the wealth. Okay? I want to do this. I want to give it a go. I want to sign an assistant manager that plays the same formation that I will set up as so I can guarantee I can bring the right players in under the tactics for a low cost, high sellable fee. But make sure that I've got people in the reserves. It's very good to use if you want to use your youth players and youth development. That's something that I haven't necessarily dabbled in the previous years. Keep your youth level high and development level high. Loan the players out. Focus on anything but the match. Focus on the players you're bringing in. I'm going to be doing this with Manchester United. I think it's going to be a really good start for me at Man United. I think the likes of your Brightons and your Bournemouths and back in the day Southamptons, these have been doing it for a while. I don't want to choose them types of teams because like Crystal Palace is a perfect example. That's where they're at now. They're buying some really cool young talents and Brighton and then selling them for big fees and generating a lot of money. I don't want to use them teams because that's already their sort of philosophy. I want to change the game. I want to go for Man United because I believe there's a lot of deadwood, there's a lot of players you can get rid of, and then it gives you a nice broad spectrum to choose from in terms of building a team. It's almost like giving it a complete refresh, not really worrying about where you finish. There are still going to be expectations, but going from there. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I'm definitely going to be doing that at some point in this sort of game cycle. The next one, I've put Mum and Dad all trophies. I'm assuming that's the same thing where if you want to make the Mum and Dad save, which is the women's team and the men's team, if you want to make that a little bit longer, don't just stick to like winning the league and the Champions League. Try and win everything. So win the League Cups and win what you can. Maybe just my short save will be Forest win the league, or Forest women's win the league, get promoted, win the league, and then Forest men's win the league. That'll be the aim. The longer save is just winning all the trophies, win the Champions League, get into Europe with them, that sort of stuff. The next save is lower league to legend. It's many a YouTuber do this. They pick a team that are either in the national leagues, so that's North, South, and Conference, and then take them into the footballing pyramid, and then go from there. That is something that you can do. That is something that a lot of people do. As a nice long save, you can start in League 2, League 1 if you really want to, but just pick a lower league team. Pick something that you wouldn't usually pick. Maybe it's something that relates to you. This is why I'm choosing Forest, because it relates to me. And then, go from there. And just play the game sort of as it was probably intended all them years ago, is to just pick a team that slow down and build them up to glory. The end goal is to win the Major League and or Major European League, if you want to push that into it as well. The last one is a bit of a new concept. I've only recently come across it. It is a series that I want to check out before Football Manager comes out, because it might be something I want to look at. And I've dubbed it the Rise of Nations. I don't know what it's actually called. I believe that there are YouTubers out there that have named it something, but I'm calling it the Rise of Nation because there's a game in the past called Rise of Nations. In essence, you pick a random as fuck nation like Nepal or Indonesia or Gibraltar or somewhere random that has like a really random league that you can play. Maybe it's, I don't know, the Chilean league or something ridiculous. And your aim is to build the nation's reputation. And what have I put here? Pick a random nation and raise their reputation. Yeah, so the rise of that nation. Now, what does this really entail? Because international football isn't in this game, so it's not like you can just do anything. Your objective is to really develop your youth players, really develop your youth setup to make sure that you're getting the best of the best coming through your nation, or your club at the very least. Scouting players from your nation or surrounding nations that will begin to qualify as homegrown after a certain amount of time. Also pulling in some of the best players from other teams surrounding you in order to, again, qualify this. Chelsea Lincoln's on Sky Sports Football. I have to put it on. However, the AI and sort of the computer won't necessarily grow the other teams in the same way. They will stay stale. If you all of a sudden have the best team in the league, you're just going to win the league. So you're going to have to start selling your better players and your youth players with good potential to these teams in order for the rest of the teams to also improve. You've got to make sure you're still winning. You've got to make sure that they may have the second best, but you're going to have to set your prices low, so your finances are going to take a hit. But as long as you're winning and you've got the better team, the finances should still come in. So there is a big sort of issue in terms of balancing the books, but also trying to raise the reputation so that, I don't know, your team may end up, the coefficient jumps up, and your nation may become one of the best sort of, people want to play there. People want to go, so you can pick from a bigger pool of players. There's all that sort of scenario. I don't know how far you can take it. It's something that I'm going to have to do a little bit of research in, because the concept of it seems a little bit too much for me. But if I like what I see when I do watch, I don't know, is it Omega Luke that does it? That's the thing I heard. Mystery box turns into Build a Nation FM save from a year ago. I am going to have to check this out. I believe that is what started it off a year ago. I will have a look. Big shout out to Omega Luke. Big shout out to a lot of the FM YouTubers, by the way. This is the time of year I start watching all their content again, and I can't wait. But that is it. They're your sort of saves to go for. Short save. A few of the short ones can become sort of like a mid to long save if it's something you're interested in, like if you are starting to enjoy it and you have done your Glory Hunter, or, you know, a Forgotten Gem, you've got Juventus and you've ended up winning the league after a season or two because you have rebuilt. Maybe that turns into a Glory Hunter save and you go, right, okay, so I'll move Nation and do the same. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. That's the exact team I predicted, by the way. Fofana, Chalobah, Hato, Santos, Fernandez, Buonanotte, Gittins, Garnacho and George. That's the exact team. I hope you guys have enjoyed. The dogs are starting to bark again, and I will catch you later. Goodbye.